Hello friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Natalia. If you're new here, today I'm going to be filming my February wrap up, or all the books that I read in February. If you hear any noises, I live next to an Air Force base, so there's constant airplanes. Also my family's outside playing and they can get a bit loud, so sorry if you hear any noises, but let me fix my necklaces before I don't, and then it'll bother me when I'm editing this and I will crash out. Do you guys want to see a live crash out? No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, a lot of the books that I read I don't have physically because they were either ARCs, I got them from the library, or I just don't own them. So I'll have to be throwing up some pictures, but I have some of them already stacked next to me, so I will be showing you guys those as we go. I read 15 books this month. Sorry, I had to get my Goodreads pulled up to make sure that I'm correct. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16? 16 books I read this month. So that was pretty good. That's my highest month in a long time, honestly. So anyways, not too much yapping though, because I'm really bad at explaining plots to books, so let's get into it, girl. Okay, so firstly, I think I'm going to go over the ARCs that I read this month. I'm trying to get that NetGalley score up. I've been working on that since January. I've actually been working on it since like December, but this is the year of getting my NetGalley score to 80%. I'm currently sitting at 30, so not doing very well, but I'm gonna get it up. So anyways, the first book that I read, I'll throw it up on the screen, is The Love Haters by Catherine Center. I read one other Catherine Center book. It was Hello Stranger, and I wasn't that big of a fan, I'm not gonna lie. So going into this, I was not expecting it was going to be that. Kids are screaming. Going into this, I didn't expect it to be like my new favorite book, but I was actually pleasantly surprised. I rated it 4 stars. So we are following a girl named Katie, and Katie is working at I think it's like a magazine or a writer's column. I don't really remember, but she ends up getting prematurely laid off unless she takes this job producing this video for the Coast Guard. So she ends up taking that job and going to, I believe it's like the Bahamas, I want to say. Oh no, I'm sorry, Key West. She goes to Key West and she meets a guy named Hutch, who is a Coast Guard who she kind of works with while filming the videos, and she ends up admitting to Hutch that she doesn't know how to swim, so he ends up teaching her how to swim, and it's just this beautiful love story. And before she went to Key West to meet Hutch, the guy who gave her the ultimatum, you'll get fired or you're gonna go on this trip, ends up being Hutch's brother, and he has nothing but horrible things to say about Hutch. He's a love hater, he doesn't like to be happy, things like that. And when she meets Hutch, she is very confused because he's nothing like they say. He's nothing like the brother said he was, and she ends up kind of getting in the middle of a little bit of family drama, but it's so cute. She also meets their grandma, I believe she was, or their aunt. I don't really remember who she was to Hutch, but she ends up meeting their aunt, grandma, whatever, and forming a super close relationship. It was a really cute book. I gave it 4 stars. I would definitely check it out. It's perfect summer read. It even takes place during a hurricane too. I thought I've never read a book where a hurricane took place in the book, and I don't know, I thought that was fun and different. But anyways, yeah, 4 stars. The next ARC that I read was Made for Each Other by Lynn Painter. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone, but trying to remember my ratings and stuff, and I gave it a 3.75. I thought this book was super cute. We're following a maid named Abby, and she decides to sleep over in this apartment that she cleans because she knows the guy who lives there doesn't stay there a lot, and her house is like infested with rats or something like that. But one day she wakes up in his apartment and his parents are there, and it just so happens that homeboy, the rich billionaire, told his parents that he has a girlfriend. And so when they see Abby walking out of the bedroom, they're like, oh my gosh, you must be our son's girlfriend. And she's like, yeah, I am. And then she ends up having to like go to different things with him and do different like events with him because she was the fake girlfriend, da da da. Loved that aspect, the fake relationship between a billionaire and like the maid. I thought that was super, super cute. I just feel like I didn't get super duper attached to the characters or anything like that. I just thought it was a fun, quick read, nothing too crazy. There was like a sprinkle of spice in there, so it does. I just thought it was a cutie little rom-com. Like I laughed, I swooned, you know, just super cute. And the cover I think is adorable. That's why I requested it mainly, was the cover. My next arc is My Funny Demon Valentine. I requested this on audio, and so I got the audiobook for it. It's not really a book I would have picked up, honestly, if I didn't see it for audio, but like I said, I'm trying to get my NetGalley score up, so whatever NetGalley will give me, I'm taking. So anyways, this book follows, what is her name? I totally forgot her name. Evangeline. This book follows Evangeline, and she is like a performer. She like loves music, and one night she's in the club and she sees Ash, and she goes up to him and she's like starting to flirt with him, and he's a little bit confused because his curse as a demon is that people do not notice him. They notice his brothers, but they do not notice him. But Evangeline ends up noticing him, and because of that they kind of like start a relationship, and things, supernatural things go on, and he's kind of like protecting her throughout the story. And I thought it was okay. I ended up giving it 3 stars. Honestly, I don't think I would continue on with the series. They compare this book to, what's that one by Kimberly Lemming, The Time I Got Drunk and Threw, that series. They compare it to that, and it's very, very much comparable, but I like that series more than I ended up liking this story. So yeah, I just thought it was okay. I thought it was a fun time. If you're looking for something to read in between like heavy or dense or more dense books, definitely pick this up, because as an audiobook I thought it was like a fun time. So yeah, there's that. The next arc that I got was Protecting Whitney, the memoir of her bodyguard, by David Roberts. I am definitely probably the only one who requested this audiobook, because the day I requested it I got it, which I just thought was funny. But I'm very interested in Whitney Houston's life. I think she's an amazing singer, and I'm always super interested in famous people who passed away. I don't know why that is. I'm definitely interested in it. So when I saw that her bodyguard had a book, I was like, you know what, that might be a good thing to read, just to get the perspective of somebody in her life that was just like working for her. So yeah, I got this on audio as well from NetGalley, and I thought it was pretty good. I gave it 3 stars because it wasn't anything like life-changing, you know, but I thought it was interesting. Her bodyguard, I guess his name is David Roberts, he had nothing but good things to say about Whitney. He had like little funny anecdotes about her, and about her family and the people she was close with, and I just thought it was sweet. You're not missing out on anything if you don't read this. I didn't learn anything new about Whitney, honestly. It was just kind of like it was kind of like listening to an old man tell stories about his life, or like his wife or something, you know what I mean? Like, it just felt like I was listening to like little tales. So it was like a good audiobook to pass the time, but it's nothing like you need to go rush out and read. Oh my gosh, okay, this one I'm excited to talk about. I got an arc for Against the Rules. This is apparently by Bree This is Brie Hayden. Against the Rules by Brie Hayden. This is apparently number 4 in the Even the Score series. I didn't know it was a series when I requested it or read it. When I went to go rate it on Goodreads, I saw that it was number 4 and I was like, huh. But I didn't feel like I missed out on anything by not reading it in order. But anyways, I ended up giving this one 5 stars. You guys, this was so good. And it's funny because I was like 5% into the book and I was like, I think I'm gonna DNF. This is kind of cringy. Like, I don't know about this, because immediately, I'm talking immediately, like 2 pages in, the characters are in love with each other. Or not in love, definitely like lustful towards each other. And so we're following King. King is a football player. And then we're following Willow. We're following Willow, and she is the coach's daughter. They initially end up meeting at a club where she's performing, and he's there with his friends. So when they first meet initially, they're super attracted to each other. She's like, take me home. He's like, I can't, I'm with my friends. And she was like, that's okay, I'll give you my number. And she was like, you know, we can meet up as long as you're not a football player, or something along the lines of that. And he's like, haha, I'm not a football player, because he could just like tell she didn't like football players. So it goes on. They go on for a while through text messages and like FaceTime, and I thought that part was so good. It felt so real to me because they were kind of just like being a little spicy over the FaceTime, if you will. And I was like, honestly, that is too real. Like, that is today's culture. I feel like I was like, are they even gonna meet up anymore? Like, are they in love? Like, I don't know. But then he ends up just being obsessed with her, like obsessed. And you can call me like crazy if you want, but I just love a story where our main male character is just head over heels obsessed. He's protective over her. He is just like obsessed. So he ends up being so obsessed with her. And then, you know, she ends up finding out who he is, and he's like this big famous football player. And then she finds out like, oh, not only is a football player, but he's on my dad's team, and my dad doesn't want me to touch or talk to any of the football players. So it kind of just like goes into this like forbidden thing where they're sneaking around, which is like so fun to me. And just, I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I definitely gave it 5 stars just because I was obsessed with their relationship, and it's not like it was the most well-written book ever, but I found it so enjoyable and so good, and I cannot wait to read 1, 2, and 3. I believe that was all the arcs I read for the month. So oh, I'm gonna go over the ones that I don't have a physical copy for, and then we'll get into the ones that I do. So I read The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. I actually got a DM on Goodreads. Somebody who watches my channel, I believe, was like, hey, you should check out The Fall Risk because I know you really love Abby Jimenez. So I did, because I did pick it up on Amazon's First Reads, and it was just like a little short story. So basically this story takes place on Valentine's Day, and these 2 neighbors literally get stuck in their apartments because the stairs to let them down from their apartments are like removed, and they can't come to fix them until the next Monday. So they're stuck like a couple of days in their apartment, and one of those days ends up being like Valentine's Day. It's funny because you don't think that a short story can get really like in depth, but this one definitely did. Like, we find out something super scary that happens to one of our characters, and how the other character kind of like helps her through it. I did give this 4 stars. I thought it was an amazing short story. I would literally give it 4.75 stars. The only reason I can't give it 5 stars is because I wish it would go on longer. Like, that was the only thing. Like, I felt I left the story like wanting more, but I also thought it was fantastic at the same time. So I don't know, definitely give it a read. It's super short and cute and quick, and it's Abby Jimenez. Like, you can't go wrong. The next one that I read was Bride of the Shadow King. I am in my fantasy era right now. I feel like I'm picking up so many fantasy books. So this story is following I'm just gonna give you like a little bit because honestly I don't remember the names. Because this story I only rated 3 stars because it was just like not that memorable to me. Like I just thought it was okay. So this is basically like an arranged marriage between a human princess and a shadow king, and basically he ends up arranging to marry one of the king's daughters when he goes to meet the human king, if you will. The human king's like, here's my daughter, and he ends up like meeting the other daughter whose name is Farain, I believe, and kind of being like a little bit drawn to her, and they have like conversations and stuff, but nothing can come out of it because he's arranged to marry the sister. So they go through with all of that, but on the day that the sister's supposed to arrive in his world, she dies. So they send Farain in her place, and he doesn't know it. It's like kind of like a trick. So yeah, so we're following that storyline, which I thought was super good. I don't know, I just didn't like connect to the story. I felt myself kind of like drifting while reading it. I don't know, like it wasn't a bad book, it's just not one that I was like completely hooked. I guess like maybe I didn't like the fact that he was really drawn to Farain. I hope I'm saying her name right. He was really drawn to her, but he like kind of just ignored it. And I get it, like he's ignoring it because it's the fate of the two worlds like not being at war. But honestly, I didn't like that he didn't like fight to be with her. And then also he was like starting to kind of like this other sister, which I found kind of like icky to me. I don't know. I just wish he would have like saw Farain and then just like did everything he could to like be with her. But I guess obviously we wouldn't have like the plot of the story if he did that. So anyways, don't mind me. Okay, the next one that I don't have that I ended up giving 4 stars is The Lake of Lost Girls. So this one was really good because I did listen to it on audio, and I highly recommend. It was an audiobook on Hoopla, so if you have Hoopla, that's where I listen to it. But basically we're following Lindsay, and Lindsay is listening to this true crime podcast that is being made about her sister, which she's super like annoyed by, but she's kind of just like listening to it. And it kind of brings up what happened to her sister, like brings it up into topic again. Basically her parents like don't ever talk about it, and so she's kind of left kind of like wondering like what happened, because basically one day on Lindsay's birthday, her sister Jessica went outside to go get the cake from the car. Lindsay turned around, and 10 seconds later she looked back and her sister was gone, and nobody knows like what happened to her. And so we're kind of following Lindsay find out what happened to her sister and how the people around her are super sketchy and not trustworthy. And it was so good. I thought it was amazing. I thought the podcast element was really fun, and I kind of predicted who did it. It's a little bit predictable, but also there was like some twists and turns on why they did what they did. So I thought this was a really, really enjoyable story. I would literally give it 4.75 if I had the ability on Goodreads. The only reason I didn't give it 5 stars is because I did predict who done it, if that makes sense. Sure. Yeah. Okay, the next one that I don't have physically is The Crash by Frida McFadden. I'm not going to spend too long on this because I did not like it. I started to read Frida's books like on my Kindle first before I buy them, because I end up not like loving all of them, but especially this one was a little bit just not good to me. I'm not a Frida McFadden hater either. Like I do like The Teacher by her, so good. But this one is following Tegan. She's like 8 months pregnant, and she gets in a car crash and ends up getting taken hostage by this couple. And if it's reminding you of Misery by Stephen King, it definitely was inspired by that, because it's like the same plot, if you will. Obviously Misery's a little bit different. He's an author. The girl's crazy obsessed with him, but it's like the same. And I found it like not good. I just felt like I knew the story, and I did, and I also felt like I knew it was gonna happen, which I'll give Tegan credit. She was a much better main character than any of Frida's other books. Like I felt like she was like actually fighting to stay alive in her situation, but I found it a little bit predictable. I don't know. So I gave it 2 stars. Okay, now we can talk about the physical books I read. The first one I read like 60% off, Scent of, and then DNF. This is Harlem Rhapsody. The story is following Jesse Faust, who is a writer for The Crisis. The Crisis is a magazine back in 1920s Harlem during like the Harlem Renaissance, and we're following Jessie and her love affair basically with W.E.B. Du Bois, who is a like prolific activist, writer, whatever you may will. I don't know. He's like everything in the books at that time, and I could not finish this book. I'll be very honest with you. I thought it was a good book. It was well written. It was interesting. I learned a lot, but we are following literally through most of this book a love affair between W.E.B. Du Bois and Jessie, and I could not get past it because he has a wife, obviously, a sick children, and people in Jessie's life are like, hey girl, don't do it, stop, the whole town knows, don't do it. And she's like, I love him, you don't understand, and she just continues to sleep with him. Now I don't know if that changes because like I said, I did 60% in and I DNF'd because I was getting sick of hearing about the affair, to be honest with you. I'm not one to like hate cheating, but it needs to have a reasonable, you need a really good reason in order to be cheating on somebody with sick kids. I'll just leave it at that. The next book is Cross My Heart by Megan Collins. I loved this. I believe I gave this 5 stars. So, oh, by the way, I gave that 2 stars. Even though I didn't finish it, I read 60% of it, so I feel like that counts. So basically, we're following this girl who had a heart transplant, and she figures out whose heart that she got. So she ends up messaging the husband of the woman whose heart she has, and they kind of start like this affair, if you will. It's not really an affair. This relationship, if you will. And you think she's the crazy one. You think she's the crazy one, but little do you know, there's crazier people in this story. It was fun. It was quick. It was fast-paced thriller. And Taylor Swift is mentioned a lot in it, so I was like, points for you, girl, points for you. The next book, The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. I feel like I read so much historical fiction this month, like between Harlem Rhapsody and this, and I just don't know if historical fiction is my thing. So in this book, we are following a woman sniper whose husband left her and her little child, so she vowed to do everything she could to teach her son to be strong during World War II. She is a Russian sniper. I don't know if I said that. But she ends up like going to a marksman class, becoming one of the best snipers. Her kill count was like super high. She's fighting for her country while Hitler is trying to take over. And then it also dives into a plot of her being framed for an assassination attempt. So yeah, I thought this book was good. I gave it 4 stars, I believe. I just felt like I like dragged a little bit at some point, so I didn't feel like very invested, but I do think it's a good, important story, and I learned about somebody who I would have never known was actually a real person, so I find that super fun. Another book that absolutely slayed my life, oh my gosh, I will never forget this book. This is Metal Singer by Rachel Schneider. Basically, we are following our female main character, who I can't remember her name right now. I believe it's Bryn, but she goes by something else in this book. Basically goes to this like market that they have every year, and while she's at the market, something crazy happens to her, and she encounters like this guard who tries to like cut her hand off for stealing, if you will, and like the whole market like goes up in flames basically, and she basically escapes back to her world, and I'm butchering this, and one day some random guy shows up and he's like, hey, everybody here is not everybody here is not who you think they are. Like, you are supposed to live here. This is your actual name. Like, this is where you belong. And so we kind of follow like that plot line. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, the end of this book is absolutely insane. Like, I just did not expect it in the slightest. The relationship between our two main characters is just so good. It's so good. Like, the tension between the two of them, like, oh, and like, oh my god, I can't even talk about it. My heart is literally racing. Like, literally we follow like their relationship through this whole book, and at the end, what happens at the end is just like, how I literally had to reread the ending like several times because I could not believe that's what happened. Okay, I'm running out of storage, so I need to clear some storage and then I will be right back. Okay, couple more books left to talk about. I read Scythe and Sparrow this month. I gave this 5 stars. I loved it so much. I love the, what is this? The Ruinous Love Trilogy. Okay, so we're following, I forget their names. I forget everyone's names. Oh, we're following Dr. Kane, Fiona Kane, and Rose Evans. So basically, Rose ends up, something crazy ends up happening to her. She kind of like travels with the circus every day, but she ends up stopping in this town, this random little town, and something crazy ends up happening to her. She ends up having to like stay in this town, and she ends up like breaking her leg. So Dr. Fiona Kane, the moment he sees her, he's like very connected to her. So he ends up like taking care of her, and they end up forming like this close relationship. They end up doing like friends with benefits type things, and until one day all healed, and then she ends up going to travel with the circus again because they agreed that they wouldn't have anything serious, because he just thought like, I don't know, he didn't like want to be chaos in her life, and she's a little bit chaotic and she's like murdery if you will. And yeah, so she goes back on the road with the circus, and he like goes to visit her every so often, and they hook up, they do their thing. And one day, what happened in that town initially that kept her there comes back to find her, to haunt her if you will. And so our story just goes crazy. He's so protective of her, he does crazy things to protect her, and she does crazy things to protect him. And I just love these two crazy kids, you know what I mean? 5 stars, highly recommend this trilogy. I'm sad it's over. Like, genuinely, I loved all of the books. Okay, this month I read this big chunker. This is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I did not think this was going to be my thing from like the first chapter, but I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. So I would really like to read this book again because I feel like there's so much that I didn't like, what's the word? There's probably just like little pieces and nuggets that I missed throughout this book because like I said, it's so big. But let me tell you, the relationship between, what is his name? Con. Oh my gosh, Con and Rave. Oh my god, I was swooning. And this story has like everything. It has dragons, a magic system that's just really good. I felt like Rave was like a strong female character. Con was like obsessed with her. It's giving like I'll love you in every lifetime type vibe to me. And I just thought this was so good. I don't know why people hate it. I guess it's the length. People are like turned off by it, which I totally get. But this is just an absolutely beautiful, rich fantasy world. And I don't get why it doesn't have more hype. Like, I know this is popular, but I just don't think it gets the love that it deserves. So I honestly can't wait to read this. I own a really pretty copy, but I found this one at the thrift store and I was like, I can annotate this one and keep my good one in like good condition. So I cannot wait to read this again. And I also can't wait for the second one to come out, but I'll definitely be doing a reread before I read that one because I wanna like get everything that I can because this is big, this is a big book and I'm sure that I missed some nuggets, but you know what I mean. Anyways, the last book for the month is Beg, Bar, and Steal by Sarah Adams. I think I gave this 5 stars as well. This was so good. This was so good. So I've read several books by Sarah Adams and I have not loved them. I'll be very honest. I've read When in Rome and it's the football one where she's the manager. I can't remember it now. But I didn't like them that much. I thought they were okay, but this one, you guys, it was so good. So we're basically following two teachers, and one day our main male character moves back to the town that he met her in, and he's like, hey, my engagement's broken, I'm back to teach. And she's like, you can't come back, you steal everything from me. They have like this rivalry going on, because every time she applies for a job, he gets the job. Every time whatever she does, he does too, and he like does it better. And so she's kind of like hateful because of that. And so we have our like enemies to lovers thing going on. Well, one day they end up kind of just like hooking up, and he's super caring towards her. I don't know. This was so good, you guys. This was so good. Just like, please read it. He's everything I want in a main male character. He's like golden retriever, but not, I don't know. It was everything to me. I gave it 5 stars. Highly recommend. This is probably my favorite Sarah Adams book so far. I've only read like 3, but that was a good one. All right. Sorry if my synopsis sucked. Like I said, I'm not good at retelling stories. I'm bad with words. I love words, but I'm bad with them. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you've read this month. I love wrap-ups. I don't know why they're not more popular. I think it's so fun to hear people's thoughts on books and their opinions. So yeah, hopefully I can keep this up every single month, because like I said, love doing wrap-ups. But anyway, I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, y'all.